Hey guys, all right, gonna switch back to the vintage Gillette from the United Kingdom. It's got a safety bar here, which is very strange considering it has a flat bottom, raised flat bottom right here. So that means it's not an RFB, a raised flat bottom. It is a hybrid tech. It's very unique. They didn't make too many of those. Inside it, we're going to have the 220th use of my Nacet blade here. And that will be a little mini milestone, and we'll quit using the Nacet for a while. I'm going to use the puzzle soap from Declaration Grooming. This is the Milksteak base. You kind of had to sign up to get it, to be a part of the kind of contest. Try to guess the notes. This is the third iteration that they've done with this puzzle game. This is my first time trying it. I remember when it came out last year, I didn't know enough about it to join in. Omega brush, 80266, I believe. And I think the 66 might reference the color. I've had it soaking for about an hour. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get this guy up to speed so that he can participate with all the other Boar brushes in my Boarathon. I showed you everything, so let us load up the blade before I splash water on my face. I don't want to handle this old envelope with wet hands. So I'm annotating after 210, this is where I started my next group of 10, and you can see how it's got 9 on there. And so that's why this is going to be the 220th. And then here is the blade. There's the remnants of the X, and then the new 3 dots that I put on there, I think around use 217, so I'd have multiple forms of identification of this blade in case that X, as it looks like it is, going to wear off. I mean, Sharpies don't last forever, right? Okay, so there we go. And we will put it on. I'm always, just for grins, scientific grins, I'm putting it face up. I'm putting where the marks that I made are toward the handle every time I shave. I do not do that with any other blade. I don't think it matters. And so that's why this is kind of a little scientific experiment. And I forgot that until just 10 minutes ago. I have been saying, I've used this blade so many times, I've said it before, that when at the end, when I'm done with this blade, I'm going to flip it over and see if I get a different kind of shave or it's the same quality. That'll tell us a couple of things. If it's different, if it's better, then that's going to tell us that the blade is might be wearing unevenly, and so then that if you're going to go for a marathon type experience, it's possible that flipping the blade over might be a good idea. But people who do flip and do it religiously, or even track the side that they're using of the blade. I think I've proven that I've used this thing 219 times on the same side, and so it doesn't matter. It's still going to give you good life, good shaves, no matter what. All right, so got that guy loaded up, and now let me get my face wet. I think we're looking at today a 24-hour growth, kind of a normal growth, so that's good, of the beard. And we're going to do a 40-second load. I've got some good stats on a Boar brush that said good lather was 30-second load, 4 teaspoons of water, I believe, maybe 3. I forget about it. I can't remember, so I can't be sure. So don't worry about it. I want to shake off most of the water, as usual. And then we'll load for 40 seconds. So The 0 is going to roll around right there. Just kind of medium pressure. It doesn't really matter too much, as long as if you want to be consistent about it, that'll help you to make sure you know how much. Like the next time, if you want to count seconds or swirls, if you do it heavy one day and then light another day, then that's going to make it harder for you to know how many swirls or seconds to use. And that's 40 seconds. I'm sure that's going to give me plenty of lather. Normally, the 30-second would be all that I do. It's a good scent. However, I know that I will probably be doing 2 or 3 touch-up passes to get this tricky spot right here. And so that's why I went for the 40 seconds. All right. Roger Quintero lather bowl. If you didn't know, Boar brushes require a break-in period. They also require a soak before the shave. Now, there are a few people out there who just get it wet and then go at it, and they're going to be facing a much stiffer brush in the beginning of the shave than they will at the end. The vast majority of people like to soak their brushes for a few minutes prior to the shave. I have played around with it, and it looks like at least 3 minutes is what I like to do under normal circumstances, and anything more than that doesn't really affect the shave too much. It might, if you have a young boar, if you were to soak it an hour before use, then it might help it to break in quicker. That's the only thing. But if you've got one that's already broken in, whether you soak it for 3 minutes or 30, doesn't matter too much in terms of the performance for that shave. Went ahead and just shot this thing with 2 teaspoons of water. So we'll work that in until it looks like it's all mixed in. I always say this when I'm using this Omega, and it's because this is the Omega that surprised me. The Omega experiences I had before were ones that were unbleached, and so they were very stiff and looked like they were going to take forever to break in. And then I got this guy, he's got that black band, and he might be bleached just a little bit. He is much softer, much quicker to break in, much more comfortable on the face. He's got less backbone. And so if you like backbone, then maybe get one of those unbleached ones, one of the unbanded ones. If you don't, if you like it to have either mid or slightly lower than mid backbone, then get one of the banded ones. At least that's been my experience so far. Totally different brushes. Although I hear that the quality of the bristle they use is the same. It's the same type of bristle. One's just been stained, dyed, and maybe bleached, and the other one hasn't. Yep, and there we go. We're seeing that water get mixed up nicely with the soap. Refill the syringe. We'll put in 3 teaspoons. We'll go ahead and do 3.5. It's not a super strong scent. Not a lot of it is jumping up to my nose right now, but I've got some allergy issues going on, and so I'm going to leave the scent strength note to what it was when I used it last. I don't think I'm perceiving that very well these days. I do like to plunge the brush into the lather a little bit because inside the knot there's that moisture because I soaked it, and I want that moisture to make sure it reaches soap and becomes lather. I've had this happen before where I get the lather on my face and then I push in as much as I would splay to work it on my face, and then it just seems like that water just kind of released and then it kind of washed out my lather. So my current method is to splay in the bowl as much as you would splay on your face, and hopefully that'll help it all to work out. Let's take a look at the viscosity. Oh, that looked pretty good. Oh, look at that. I didn't even have to shake it. It just rolled off the brush. Look at that. Not really able to support its weight there in the bowl. This might be where we need to land, right here. Let's go with this. Excellent. Get a little water on my face. We've had issues last couple of shaves with making sure that I get a good cut right here. Yesterday's shave with the Parthenon from Q Shave, I believe it's a good razor, but since it's got such an old blade that I used yesterday, I believe the fault was the blade and not the razors, and it just didn't give me a good close cut in my tricky spot here. And so that's why I have moved back to the Hybrid Tech. Man, this lather feels great on my skin. The brush is soft. Now you could maybe immediately switch to painting and then start shaving, but I believe you're going to miss out on and you're not letting the lather really soak into your skin. Needs a couple more minutes to do that. My skin also is oily, and so that couple of minutes is also useful to just really scrub the soap, maybe free up those oils so that they don't get in the way of a good shave. But there's just no scritch in this brush at all. I can easily go back and forth. It doesn't shove my skin around like those springy synthetics. If you are working on it and you have emptiness in the middle of your brush, that's totally normal. Just get that stuff on the side, roll that onto your skin, and then press it into that empty spot, and you can keep working. Alright, that should be enough. Also cleaning dirt, dry skin off your face to some degree so that dirt doesn't freeze up away from your skin, so the razor doesn't work against it, is the idea, I believe. Okay. Hybrid Tech. Yesterday was sad. Parthenon just wasn't happy with the results of the shave. Wasn't the razor's fault, I'm sure. Seemed like the Parthenon's going to be a pretty good shaver. It's just, it wasn't up to the task. It did not maybe hold the blade in the right angle or curvature or whatever is my hope, and maybe this razor does. It's comfortable. I can't go against the grain. There we go. Very minor tugging on that first pass. It just wasn't really a big deal at all. Rinse. All right, second pass. Load up the brush again. If you have a goatee, make sure you get the squeeze the water out of your goatee. That way it doesn't leak down and mess up your lather. Of course, if you have a super dry lather, maybe that's a good thing, but you know what I mean. Oh yeah, this feels great on my face. 3.5 teaspoons and 40 seconds of loading with this brush. If you had a brush that had more backbone and prickly tips, then obviously that's going to change your load time. You'll probably be able to load less. I'm going to go ahead and do a with the grain pass as my second one. Another with the grain. Since this is an old blade, kind of give it a break. If I have to do 4 passes, that's not a big deal. When you enjoy the feel of the brush on your face, you like the smell of your lather. It's kind of like asking if you want another scoop of ice cream. The answer is always yes. All right. Comfort is nice, especially for an old blade. So this razor is holding it well. And rinse. Lather up for the third pass. I'm glad that I loaded a little bit longer. I'm going to have enough soap to do the job. Now I'll do the cross grain that I would normally do on the second pass. It's called blade buffing, what I'm doing, if you're kind of new to that. Going over the same area a couple times before moving on. You may find that some areas of your face like for you to do that, so you get a better cut, a closer, cut. I find that it's kind of necessary with the older blade. The angles I'm taking, especially on my neck, are very intentional. I've arrived at them over many experimental and studied passes. There are swirly areas in this part of my neck that I have to be very careful and go certain directions in certain areas. All right, let's rinse. Yeah, so the Hybrid Tech has given me a better shave than the Parthenon did in this area. I'm confident, I'm going to say it again, that I think the Parthenon is going to be a good razor with a younger blade. At least not with an ancient blade. I'm sure it's going to be fine with like a 60-use old blade, but it just wasn't quite what I needed for this ancient guy. All right, so neck only now. And we'll see if we can just do it in one touch-up pass. We've done a lot of scrubbing, so painting is just fine. Don't have to spend too much time on that. Pivoting my head a little bit, the razor head, to kind of come at that area with a little bit of a slant to it. Sometimes that is profitable. Don't really need to do it down here, so that's more of a straight on. Over here is generally done pretty well also. All right. We do a quick rinse and take a look. Well, I was afraid yesterday that we were going to reach the end of the road with a Nacet and not too many uses, but this hybrid works it well enough. This one touch-up pass was adequate, maybe because of this extra slant I took while doing it. The hair growth right here is this way, it's down this way, and I can't really do a true cross grain pass like from here to there or from here up this way because of the curvature of my neck. It's, you know, concave right there, and so a flat object is going to touch in the corners and not be able to get this part, and so you have to come at it in slightly different ways. And it looks like that way was a good choice. A good choice. It worked out just nicely. I did get a couple of twinges, like maybe I was against the grain in a couple of tiny spots, but that hasn't flared up in any kind of irritation or razor burn. So I'm happy there. How many passes did I end up making for myself? I just did 3.5, I believe. And then we've got, man, this lather is tremendous. I mean, look how elastic that is. That is amazing. And I probably made 6. I used up 3.5, and then I did a full neck, and then I did another one. So I think maybe that was 4. So 5 or 6 passes of lather is what I made with that 40-second load. And this is perfect, creamy lather. It just is. At least the way I like it. You may like yours different, and that is just fine. Whatever floats your boat. If you've never done a really wet lather, I urge you to do that. A lot of times you'll get more slickness and so many other benefits if you've never done that before. All right, I'm going to clean up. And 3.5 teaspoons of water is what we used. All right, guys, there we go. Sorry, you see my camera's bobbing. I don't have a very good mounting location for the camera in this room. And so it's actually hanging by a rubber band on the corner of a mirror. And so that's why it's moving around a little bit from this angle. The other alternative was sitting over the windowsill pointing at the side of my head, which I don't think was as good. All right, hey, well, that's this shave. I have very good feels on my face. It feels nourished. It doesn't feel dry at all. I have not put on any post-shave products. I don't really feel like I need to. I've got oily skin, so that gives me a little bit of advantage in that department. But I'm going to go ahead and splash on some of that Puzzle aftershave as well, located elsewhere. So I'll do that off camera. But that's it. That's the shave, and really happy with the comfort. And I'm glad that Hybrid Tech was able to keep the Nacet alive. And I'm really happy with the closeness it got there. I believe I'm looking at just a few hairs with some length, and that is very good for such an old blade. So 220, well, it's nice to take a break from the Nacet because There's just so few razors that can work well with that blade and give me good shaves. And so now I'll be able to take a break for a little while and enjoy some other razors. I brought a Mamba with me on this trip, and that's a very mild razor that I enjoy. I'll put a reasonably young blade in that and have fun with that here soon. Maybe I'll do the Parthenon with a younger blade just to verify that it's a good razor with a more normal blade. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, well, great experience with the Omega. Happy with that one too. I'm liking the Milksteak. It continues to be it doesn't puff up a lot, so you don't need to expect that, but it needs to lay down that slick layer. It does that really well. It also still gives you a nice creamy feel. Really good creamy feel on your face. It even made me think that I might need to add some more water, but then at the end, as you can see, it was elastic. It was dripping off the brush, and so I'm glad that I didn't add any more water. That was just perfect for my own preferences. So happy about today's shave. I hope there was something here that was good for you. I just finished January the 1st, and we're now starting the early wee hours of January 2nd. So I'll do another Happy New Year to you, and I hope your new year is a good one. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care. Good night.